Well, the mural was made in one day in 1984 while Keith was here for a 3-week visit. It was a sort of essentially a performance, which is what he did. It was really gifted to the kids at the school and the local community.
And he did this all over the world. There's a massive mural in Pisa. There's a huge kind of construction at a hospital in Paris. He painted a huge section of the Berlin Wall in the mid-80s as well. And his style just became immediately recognisable.
The message, I suppose, in terms of the pictorial content of the mural is really about the future of humanity in the light of a kind of digital media age and what impact that's going to have on us. And it's quite prophetic, really, considering where we're at in the 21st century. For Australia, for Melbourne, for Collingwood to have one of those is, it's invaluable. It's very hard to kind of measure really how important it is, but we do have one. There are about 50 around the world. Many have been lost by buildings being knocked down or through the weather. A number have been retained, and most of those have been repainted.
I love the idea of living in a suburb that has a Keith Haring mural. I mean, it's a huge privilege and a very rare thing.
The Keith Haring mural in Collingwood, my relationship extends back to university days. I used to catch the bus up Johnson Street and I guess drive past that mural for a good sort of 3 or 4 years without fully realising what it was and who it was painted by. I can't remember what year, but sort of late 90s, I went to New York for the first time, and there was a very large-scale exhibition of his outdoor public sculptures, which was organised by the Public Art Fund, I think. And when I came back to Melbourne, I did a bit more research and I found out that this mural was in Collingwood. I went down and saw it and, on foot for the first time, and was kind of amazed that Melbourne would have such a thing. But I was really dismayed to see the state that it was in, and so I kind of initiated a bit of a campaign to get it back on the public agenda in terms of the owners of the site caring for it.
I've been involved with the Keith Haring mural as a supporter of the people who are trying to get some kind of action formed around the mural about its conservation, its restoration, or about its future, basically. And I'm concerned about it and interested in it as a resident and an artist. Keith Haring was an artist who kind of shot to fame in the 80s. He came to Australia in 1984. He was brought out here by gallerist John Buckley, and he painted a series of murals while he was here, one at the Collingwood Technical College, one in Toorak at the school that he was staying at where John Buckley was teaching at the time, and a couple of private ones as well.
What is happening currently is that the building is going to be handed over to Circus Oz. It's going to be the new home for their organisation, which means that a whole lot of work has to be undertaken at the site, including the mural, which is really great.
It's really hard to get public art right.
Art in public spaces is definitely a positive thing. The word that kind of always comes to mind is like a vivacity.
Keith Haring's exuberance actually was what carried his artwork through and what made it so accessible to the public and so well loved and well known.
His works are always about life. There's the radiant baby, there's dogs barking, there's figures dancing and moving. It's always about movement and life and energy and vivacity.
Visually powerful gift to the community.
And footage that has been made of the actual execution of that work shows something that is lively, that is full of life and is meant to be about the joy and fullness of life.
He's got music, he's on a scissor lift, which it was the first time he used a scissor lift for his work, which really changed how he worked in the future as well. There were people around it who were all assisting with him, and it became quite a performance, although it wasn't intended as a performance at the time.
So to see the work in the condition that it is in now, where it really is a skeleton of its former self, I think the proposition to stabilise it as it is would be quite distressing for Keith Haring, and I know that it is for the Haring Foundation, because that sort of means preserving this moment. This kind of it kind of makes it into a mausoleum. It kind of freezes it in this kind of half-death, which was absolutely not what Keith Haring was about.
We're extremely lucky to have a work in such a kind of unassuming position by such an important artist in the history of, especially of American painting, just kind of exist within like an ordinary Melbourne suburb.
The fact is, if you ask a lot of the local residents, this mural is kind of like in the background to their whole lives. It's always there. It's a reference point. It's something that happened at one time. it's kind of a document to a very kind of exciting visit by an international artist to Melbourne.
Something just needs to be done about it, and I think that it's just so important that we act now because it's only getting worse, and it would be such a shame to see all of that energy just degrade into nothing.